This isn't exactly a cooking show.
Why do you say that?
Well, we're a couple of cooks in the kitchen. We've been doing this for a while, though. Do we think we know what we're going to prepare for today's entrees?
I kind of want some appetizers first, and
okay.
I think we have some great appetizers throughout Division 3. In fact, we'll get to that. But I got a question. I mean, what's been going on, JB? I haven't seen you in forever. Anything changed in your life, my life, or anything lately?
Well, I'm now standing next to an elected official. We've got the mayor here winning an election. I mean, that's kind of a big deal, right?
It's different. I'm not going to lie. It's an exciting time, I guess, in Balsam Spa, New York, or some people's worst nightmare, depending on who you ask, I guess. You got a new job right at the tail end of last season.
I did, yeah. It's been going great. Working at Corn Ferry International, recruiting people for banks. It's kind of like I was born to do it.
Got any spots for mayors? Wash up mayors when I'm done? Anything like that?
I am doing some stuff with a client down in Washington, D.C. I'll see if I can put in a good word for you.
Yeah, politics is not my end game, I hate to tell you.
I hope not.
But it might be the end game of some of our Division III football players, but they've still got some time, a season here to deal with a lot. And we got some that have dealt with a lot in terms of the last couple of years. Because let's face it, this is where the COVID graduate year is really coming into play for some schools.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that and a lot more. Hey, folks, this is season 15. I'll be in the huddle. Season 15, buddy. Congratulations.
Yeah, overnight success. Only took us 15 seasons.
What the hell are your nights like?
Yeah.
Well, you got a little football here, the NAL ball, which is National Arena League, and they just finished up their season. Congratulations to the back-to-back champions, Albany Empire. Your friend Tom G out there was...
Tom Gaz.
Yeah,
he's one of the announcers along with our friend Andrew Santillo.
Tim Drawbridge, Andrew Santillo would rotate on the play-by-play, and Gaz was up there as color commentator. His inner Frank Rossi and James Baker were going on there, and congratulations to him. Speaking of championships, UMHB had won one when we left you last year.
Yep.
And now it's a question of what happens next here in 2022. We've got a lot of preseason material to cover. In fact, we're going to do 4 shows for you. 1 for Region 1, 1 for Region 2, 1 for Region 3, and 1 for Regions 4 through 6. And that show will also include kind of a prep for Week 1 games, which we had a question. We'll lead off with that question right now because this is tried and true throughout the country. And it was a Twitter question asking, essentially, is this unprecedented, the out-of-conference major matchups that we're seeing, such as Mary Hardin-Baylor taking on Muhlenberg and Wisconsin-Whitewater, St. John's taking on Wisconsin-Whitewater, among many others.
Linfield's going to Huntington. We've got lots of cross-country matchups, some really huge game. Westminster-Del Val in Region 1 and 2 is big. I mean,
Whitworth coming to Carnegie Mellon to basically do the second installment of that matchup. So yeah, folks, it's good, unprecedented, maybe not. I remember the years when Mary Hardin-Baylor, Linfield were going at it in the out-of-conference series. Wesley usually took some pretty big steps when they were still with us in Division III. So it's up there. At the very least, it is up there. We will see what it does to the landscape because realistically, let's say Wisconsin-Whitewater loses to Mary Hardin-Baylor and loses a game in the WIAC and ends up 8-2. How do you say no to them in terms of a playoff slot? So the old adage of 2 losses need not apply. If you're a team like that, maybe you should.
Yeah.
Or you will. Don't worry about that. But they might still get in. Yeah. But what's your take on this scheduling?
I do feel like it is somewhat unprecedented when you look at the vast number of games. Like when we get to that sort of week one preview, in every region there are some pretty big crossover matchups, and I don't know, maybe it's what we've seen with the committee over the years. Maybe it's just one of those things where these games got set up 4 or 5 years ago and certain teams have kind of risen up. But like UMHB Whitewater, that is a Stag Bowl matchup. It could be a semifinal round matchup, Frank. I mean, these are some pretty heavy-hitting types of things, and for Muhlenberg to go down to take on the defending champs is a big deal too. So we'll have more on that in a little bit. But I feel like in the 30-some-odd years that I've been a D3 football fan, this is probably one of the best regular season early week 1, 2, 3 that you're going to see in a long time.
For those that don't know, we are in JB's kitchen down in Orlando, Florida. We were going to do something outside for these shows, and then the storms came here. And
very Florida of us. Yeah.
Well, but your Florida weather's been predominantly horrible up in the New York area and New England zone. We got a little bit of a reprieve last weekend, so a lot of teams that started to report for the season were happy that things kind of let down a little bit in terms of the heat level, but we still aren't out of the woods necessarily, and so take precautions, stay hydrated as teams across the country during some of this heat wave. But fall football on the way. It will be cooler. Almanac says we're going to have a cool winter and fall, basically.
Maybe we'll get some snow games in November.
Bite your tongue, since I'll probably have to be out on the sideline for those games.
Well, that'll be for the weekend of the Blitzer when we're in the studio.
Okay, I like that. I could deal with that. Yeah. A good excuse to be in the studio then.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're going to start, as we said, with Region 1, the region most prone to snow probably in that time of year. And we're going to go conference by conference across the country, all 28. We're going to touch them all and tell you our thoughts on the storylines for each conference. And we're going to have some interviews scattered throughout these different discussions. So stay tuned throughout the next week and a half or so, and we'll get you a lot of content, a lot of opinions from players about what to expect from their teams. We're going to start with a conference we don't have an interview for, but we have some discussion about for sure. The ECFC in Region 1. Anna Maria was your champion last year, and they have a new head coach. I think it's Kroos is his last name. He's been their OC for 4 years, predominantly high school coach prior to that, but has led a high-powered offense as the offensive coordinator at Anna Maria. And the question basically becomes, will anybody take the throne from Anna Maria in the ECFC? You and I, our predictions say probably not. However, I say Castleton is a team to watch. You say Dean is a team to watch. Take us through the ECFC from your point of view.
Well, and I'm just remembering, too, that this is the last swan song of SUNY Maritime before they depart for the new MAC, and that was a big thing for this offseason. Lots of conference movement with different teams and programs. I mean, I think just like every other year, the ECFC will be competitive as far as who ultimately takes the title. There have been some players that have moved on, like the quarterback from Alfred State he's now over at Adrian. So there could be some newer faces to see, but for the most part, what Coach Mulroney and sort of the foundation he set for Anna Maria puts them in the driver's seat. Dean has a new coach also. There was an interview on D3Football.com about that if you missed it. So lots of, it's kind of up in the air, but the AMCATs feel like a safe bet. But yeah, don't sleep on Dean or Castleton.
Could be an interesting year for sure for the ECFC. And as you said, with a little bit of the shakeup going on in the conferences, we could see some interesting little subplots playing out throughout. Let's go to the MASCAC. And really, to me, this is one of the most compelling conferences right now in the New England Region 1 zone, which obviously also includes the MAC. Don't forget, we'll get to them later.
We almost did earlier.
Yes. We're like, boy, it seems like we're forgetting somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the MAC.
Yeah.
But
those guys.
The MASCAC, last year, Framingham State really, honestly, shocked us. We thought they were pretty much left for dead, starting 0-2. Didn't really show a pulse in those games.
Yeah. Had a coach, lost the coach through COVID. Their retired coach came back.
Yep. Tom Kelley.
Tom Kelley, what an amazing job he did. He ran the table and got back into the tournament.
Somebody I got to speak with over at Framingham State, we'll talk about them first here, is somebody we talked to 3 years ago as they prepared for their Wesley playoff game in 2019, Cully Curran. He's actually a national prospect right now for pro football. and you can just basically Google his name, Cully Curran, and see it. He's put on some pounds for sure, and a lot of muscle, and has a certain swagger and maturity about him that wasn't there 3 years ago when I was up there. It's funny, we did the interview in the same basic location.
Yeah, right in the office.
Coach Kelley's office.
Yep.
But here is my discussion with Cully Curran about, I should stop now and say our theme throughout our interview sets for these shows will be unfinished business and second chances. So what would the unfinished business be for Framingham State with their success in winning the MASCAC? Well, here's Cully Curran to tell us a little bit more about what's going on there.
We went through it last year with a last-minute coaching change, which kind of put Coach Kelley in a bind after he had retired. And he came back, and he had to put a staff together kind of last minute for us. So the beginning of the season was a rocky start. But I think we had really good senior leadership last year, and the young guys came along quick. And we dropped our first 2 games, and it was a tough start. But we were resilient. We bounced back, and we rang off 8 in a row in the league. And we were able to make the playoffs again.
Now, you come back as a COVID senior, essentially. We're seeing a lot of that in terms of the interviews I've been doing. But that means leadership in the defense, at least, is back. How many COVID seniors are there throughout the team, and how important is it to the team's unity and progress to have that happen here?
There's definitely a couple COVID seniors, kids that came in with freshmen. We've returned, and we have a good, solid group, and it's huge with leadership. It really is. The unity that we have in the team, we've been playing together for a while. We have a ton of team chemistry, which is huge, and I think it's gonna pay dividends.
So, since the last time we saw you, you put on some pounds. I'm not gonna lie to you. Hit the weight room, obviously. We were doing the whole Wu-Tang Clan discussion with Jim Catanzaro back then. Times change, but I'm looking online the other day, and I'm seeing you're a pro prospect. And in the meantime, Josh Onadogo, I'm going to just mess that up. Sorry,
Uno.
Josh. Uno is playing with the Seattle Seahawks. That kind of came out of nowhere. Suddenly, Framingham State is on a pro prospect track here. Tell me about this. How did this happen?
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of people, it might seem like it came out of nowhere, but if you know the kind of kids that are around, you know their work ethic and how much they mean business, it really wasn't a surprise to me that Uno got the looks he did. And I think with the correct amount of work and preparation and stuff like that, the right things are going to happen. So.
Well, you come back, and as I told you earlier, the topic of our shows this go around for preseason is unfinished business and second chances here. You must have felt like there was some unfinished business for Framingham State, despite the appearance back in the playoffs and everything. What is the unfinished business here, and what do you look to do to correct that?
For me, the whole goal for me is to take the next step in the program. We've had some great success over the past years in the New England region and stuff like that, but I really want to help take the program to the next level, and I think that is making a run in the national tournament, which I do believe we do have the talent to do it, but if we execute and we prepare properly, I think that's the next step.
What have you learned? I mean, obviously it's a tough haul once you get there, and your draws have not exactly been the easiest draws in the world either, but what did you learn that could make this turn into that type of season?
I think experience is huge. Experience is huge. We've definitely been there a bunch of times, and we haven't won those huge matchups that we want to. So experience has been a huge factor, and really just seize the moment, just live in it.
Do you feel a big bullseye though, because the MASCAC is no pushover? It seems to be getting better and better, especially the top half of the teams every year. Is that bullseye getting a little heavy here, or do you think that you guys are going to be able to shake that?
No, I don't think about that at all. It's one game at a time, 1 week at a time. We're going to bring our best. So.
Okay, well, listen, I'm going to give you the opportunity. I think we did it last time. If we didn't, I apologize. But for any shout-outs you want to give to any friends or family, et cetera, Cully Curran, for, I guess 4 years, 5 years, depending on how you look at all this stuff that happened to us. Go right ahead.
Parents, teammates, coaches, thank you for coming.
Nice and simple.
Yes, sir.
Good luck, my friend.
Appreciate it.
And before we end with Framingham State, Coach Kelley, you alluded to it before. He left, came back, and he seems to be intent to stay as the head coach this go around at Framingham State and as athletic director as well. He's pretty open and honest about what happened and how it happened. So here is Coach Kelley. Let's go through last year. What happened? How did you get back into this spot?
Well, got back from vacation at the end of July. Had hired a coach to replace myself. It was time for me to kind of pass the mantle off to one of my guys. And at the last minute, 2 weeks before camp, he went on to bigger and better things. And so
Bigger and better than this?
oh yeah, there's bigger and better things than this, believe it or not. But so we had a decision to make, and so one of the guys that was still left, I said, okay, let's put the coaching staff on the board. I wasn't comfortable with it, so I decided that I was going to come back, but I had to go home and tell the boss. And she said to me,
that sounds like a lead balloon in the making, right there.
Well, it's a pretty good story in that, so I go home, talk to my wife, and I said, here's the deal. The job opened up, and I'm back. She goes, Tom, I feel bad for you. I know you turned the page, and you're ready for the second part of your life and all that stuff. And I feel bad for you, but I'm so happy for me. She said she's our biggest fan, but she also likes me being out of the house 80 to 100 hours a week. So, it's, as they say, it's cheaper than a lawyer.
What's your wife's name?
Jackie.
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 I feel for you.
Yeah.
At least when he's at home, I hear you.
But she was happy, and coming back, wasn't sure whether I was going to be a 1 year, one and done again. But dealing with these guys, I got rejuvenated during the pandemic and all that stuff, and I'm so proud of last year's team. I can't even begin to tell you.
Well, let's talk about it a little bit.
We were shorthanded on the coaching staff. We had a couple guys leave us during the season on the coaching staff. Every obstacle that we threw in these guys' ways, they rebounded. We got whacked in our first 2 games.
Yeah, you did.
Our third game, now we're into conference play, and we get UMass Dartmouth, who's a great football team with great athletes and great coaches. First play, I think we fumbled the initial series. It might have been the first play. Their first play, 70-yard touchdown pass, and I'm going, holy mackerel. I said, I don't know. I'm thinking, what do I say to the team? I can't remember losing 3 in a row in a long time. And these kids dug their heels in, and they didn't, and they just overcame every obstacle that was in their way. And I couldn't be prouder of a group of young men than those guys last year.
Well, what was the recipe? I mean, like you said, those 2 games, I wrote you off as dead. I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah. JB probably did as well.
Yeah.
And, I mean, okay, even with the 1 win versus UMD, that doesn't necessarily mean turnaround. It could have been any given Saturday moment. What specifically was the chemistry that made us happy?
I think we've built a culture here where these guys overcome a lot. And we're hard on these guys at every turn. And I think that it had nothing to do with me. It was the chemistry of the team. It was, as Cully, Curran said earlier, it was the chemistry. It was the leadership, and we have great leaders here. I've been so fortunate that we have coaches on the field. Cully Curran is one of the finest young men and finest leaders that I have ever coached, and I'll never forget that guy, I'll tell you.
He seems less timid than he did 3 years ago, that's for sure, and which is a good thing for him.
But boy, when he speaks, the team pays attention.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
And we had, Una Jawago, we had Uno with us, and we had, we didn't lose a heck of a lot of guys from last year. Through the pandemic, it's certainly a different team than we had last year, but guys like Cully and some of his teammates, I think that we're going to be okay.
How proud of you are you of what Uno's done, kind of for a lot of people out of nowhere? And Cully can tell me it didn't surprise him and the team and everything else, but it surprised a lot of people in Division III. They didn't see him coming.
We had a lot of, we've had a lot of great players over the years. And it started with James Muirhead. He got signed by the Rams and went to their rookie camp. We've had a lot of guys in pro days. And in 2019, we had Jake Marr here, the tight end. He was like a 3-time All-American. So we had all 32 teams in our camp, in our practices. So they got a peak, and poor Jake got caught up in the pandemic year, and I think there was problems with rookie camps and all that stuff.
Yeah, and there was a lot of
But
people like
while
that.
they were here, guess what? They saw a peak at Uno.
Yep.
And Uno was one of those guys. He never took a playoff. He was one of the hardest workers, as Cully is, as a lot of guys are. So that kind of spills over year to year, and everybody picks up the mantle, and especially the upperclassmen. Okay, it's my turn to be the guy. So I think that has a lot to do with what our program's about.
We had him on after the WestCon game, I think it was 3 years ago, and he was phenomenal, and somewhat comfortable with even us throwing the spotlight on him back then. So we're rooting for him for sure. Send him our best.
Absolutely. And I talked to him after the game, and he was pretty happy with his performance. And
just missed a sack too.
He missed a sack, and he said it was really the tackle that, and he had it all figured out.
Good for him.
He's a great football mind, and he is so focused on making this thing, And we're praying that good things happen.
We all are.
Good things happen to good people. I hope.
2022. I think you bring in like 80ish to camp, which sounds low compared to some schools out there.
Yep.
That makes it tougher, I'm sure, but you do have some COVID senior leadership back at least. Give me the balance here. Is this team ready to pick up where it left off last year, or is this going to be a tough go to start again that you might have to wait a little bit?
Yeah, I think we're going to have our hands full for sure. We always like to get out of the region. And I feel that, steel sharpens steel, and we get into those type of games. So when we get into conference play, that we're ready for just about anything we're going to see.
Worked last year.
Yeah, and UMass Dartmouth, I think they're going to be the team to beat again. WestCon's going to be good. Bridgewater's going to be good. And I've seen what some of the recruiting classes and things. So we're going to have our hands full. And I tell the guys, we're the guys with the target on our back. So every game is a championship game for somebody. So we always have to be prepared, and we're going to get everybody's A game in their fastball.
Last question for you. You heard Cully talk about the unfinished business aspect of it and why we're kind of talking to you guys, and he kind of said what I expected him to say. How does it make you feel to hear that, though, that they're not just satisfied with first-round entry anymore, that this team wants to go into the playoffs, deeper into the playoffs?
We've been there. We've been close. We always get, I'm not saying a bad draw, but we get a tough draw.
Yeah, you do.
And that's okay, because we got to play those guys anyway if we want to get deep into the playoff. We've never had a New England game. Some teams have. Some teams have had easier draws than we have. But you know what? That's what we prepare for. That's why we play out of region early in we play the Brockports and all the good teams out there, just because that's what we're going to face once we get to the big dance. But unfinished business. Yeah, we're every week we come to win. I don't care. We'll be underdogs sometimes, and that's what makes this game fun. Just chasing that dream.
Well, you came back last year. I didn't know if we'd see you back this year. It seems like without hesitation you came back for another one. Like you said, you're re-energized, and it's great to see you because you're an asset here.
Thanks, Frank. And I said I'm probably going out boots first this time, and they're either going to have to fire me or carry me out of here. But
you're the AD, aren't you still?
Yeah.
You're going to have to fire yourself. But good luck to you on everything
Frank.
here. Hopefully see you during the season.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. So, okay, we start with Framingham State. Only 80-man roster pretty much right now in this preseason, which is low by most standards.
Yeah.
By all means, maybe they won't be repeating from lack of depth or whatever. But every time you try to count them out, you're a fool for trying to count them out.
Yeah, they keep winning the conference year after year. I mean, I think the last time Bridgewater did it maybe in 2016 or 17. So it's been 4 years, 6 years straight, depending. Obviously the COVID year notwithstanding. The Rams are the team to beat every year in this conference, and they have some they've taken the steps. They've scheduled Brockport in the regular season. They're swinging for the fences and will be favorites once again.
Well, you look at Uno over at the Seahawks right now, or at least while we're recording this, and you begin to ask yourself, maybe we do underestimate the talent level that is in some of these New England schools. Because 15, 20 years ago, it was kind of like the laughingstock scenario. Region 1, or what is Region 1 now, the East Region back then, those New England schools, it was like, whatever, okay, hey, congratulations, here's a playoff slot. We'll see you after that first round game. Get ready to go home. Now these teams legitimately are sitting there saying, we can win a first round game, and maybe they will. And we'll see, because that is the unfinished business for Framingham State. But the team to watch for me, ultimately, is going to be UMD. You have Bridgewater State down as team to watch, but I'm going to take this one and say that Mass Dartmouth really kind of had a weird start to their season last year, ran into Framingham State at the wrong time because that was a team catching fire, and they're aware of the fact that you cannot start with a loss that early in your conference schedule, and this year, obviously, they're going to have to put that to the test right off the bat. But could this be the year for a team that had their best record in, I think, 18 years? UMD, Mass Dartmouth. I got to speak with, I want to make sure I get this right, it was Sam Alicea, the linebacker for them, a sophomore, Dante Aviles-Santos. See that, Dante? I told you I screwed your name 18 different ways this season, right there.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that messes up quarterbacks' names on this show, Frank.
Well, also a sophomore. So we talked to two sophomores who were leaders last year. And here is our discussion about last year and this year. Guys, our theme this preseason is about unfinished business and second chances. Seemed like this is a great school to start with here. Dante, last year your team had kind of a bumpy start, but you guys were resilient and even got the bowl game and everything else, a little bit of ESPN coverage. But what did you guys learn as a team on offense, especially about the start of the season and how it can affect the rest of the season, and how do you right the ship to become the MassCAC champs this year?
I mean, it's exactly what you said in the beginning. It's the resiliency among this team. We got two sophomores right here, and that's just a minute aspect of our team when it comes to the depth of our team. We got guys everywhere who can do a lot of great things, but it's only day 4, so there's a lot of room for improvement. But like you said, on the resilience aspect, it's just what we can see the potential of this team to be and how hard we can work every day, every rep, just to be better every day than we were before.
Sam, basically week 3 kind of settled the entire season in terms of, Framingham State was able to run the table in the conference. You guys ended up with a better win-loss record, I think, in the end overall, too. It's kind of the funny thing about how the conferences work. But you got to start right off the bat strong. For you, you came in kind of fresh, obviously, last year, seeing things. What did you learn defensively? What is this defense capable of early in the season here?
Man, we just work hard. I think one thing about us is that we just go out there and do our jobs. Everybody has a job that we have to do. I think everybody just goes out and executes that very well.
Tell me some players that you think are going to step up this year, if you had to guess, in terms of your defense. I know it's early in the preseason and all when we're doing this, but still, with spring and everything else, who are some of the people to watch out for here defensively?
Some of our leaders, J.P. Mason, Javian Delgado, Marcus, we got Mackay, some of those guys. And we got Adam Washington, Trell, Mirbot. We got a lot of guys.
Sounds like they're ready to go on defense. Offensively, I mean, besides some of the big man touchdown stuff and whatnot, what can we look forward to in 2022 on the offensive side?
I mean, I think you could just look forward to everything that you pretty much saw last year. We're going to, break the face with Marv, Louie, Jalen, and Charno. And then when you guys want to pack it in, we got guys out wide who can do the same job equally as efficient. And I feel like once we pull that together, and we go drive by drive, play by play, it's going to be really special to see this team create a lot of opportunities in a lot of different ways.
Coming in, did you see yourself kind of being thrust into the position you're in last year especially, and now kind of carrying through to this year? Did you see that coming?
I mean, you always want to envision yourself in the top spot. You never want to say you're a you know, you're a backup kind of guy. That's my role. You know what I mean? I feel like even if you're a backup on this team, you have a crucial and important role, because if you're behind the guy that's in front of you, you got to make him better every day. And if you're the guy ahead of that guy behind you, you got to be better every day so you can essentially keep your spot. You know what I mean? So it's just the fact that these guys push each other every day, and there's just a lot of potential on this team, and it's exciting to see and exciting to be around.
Sam, first time here for me, and I'm noticing this feels beautiful, and it looks like a lot of work going on. People probably can hear in the background. There's kind of a real thrust by the school, it seems like, to embrace not just football but all the athletics here at UMass Dartmouth. What made you come here, and have you seen that kind of, I guess, embracing of it over the last couple of years in a way that's made this team want to play better and, you know, rise up for this school?
Yeah, it's definitely a family aspect about it, man. These guys are my brothers. And when I first came here, I felt that right away when I stepped on the field. I felt like I was really a part of something. We could do something with this. And, yeah, that's it.
Obviously, you guys know the history here. Your last season was the best season, I think, about 18 years, there, give or take. Is this onward and upward still? I mean, you guys haven't hit a ceiling yet, I'm guessing.
Yeah, no, I mean, every day is a new day. You know, we just kind of look forward to, like I said, pushing each other every day, coming out here. We actually just got our rings yesterday, so I feel like that's a good opportunity to put that in the rearview mirror. You know what I mean? Now we're kind of on our new season. There's no more of that lingering, oh, when's the ring coming in effect? Now it's just us playing ball and getting ready for WPI at our scrimmage.
Yes, sir.
It's a lot of stuff to happen this season, but obviously, if I remember correctly, you still got a little bit of a front-loaded conference schedule here, so it'll be interesting to watch the MASCAC very early and often here, to say the least. You guys know the routine here. You guys get to give any shout-outs to family, friends, anybody that might be watching. I'll let you take the stage.
Got that first.
Yes, sir. First off, I'd like to shout out Mom, Dad, you know what I mean? Sino, Zeke, my girlfriend, you know. Shout out all the people that are in my corner. I appreciate you guys. You know, we're doing this for the bigger dream, and we're just trying to get it done here.
Yep. Shout out Mom, Dad, my little brother Jacoby, my sister Gigi. You know what's up, man.
I got to say one thing.
Yes, sir.
The girlfriend has a name.
Yes. My girlfriend Gianna. Shout out Gianna.
Gianna.
Love it.
Then I also got to talk to Coach Mark Robichaud about his team, and really, you know, I think, 15 years or thereabouts, where he's really taken this team, which is pretty much on the upward trajectory.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially right now. Coach, good to meet you officially here, and also good to see this facility. This is high quality facility here, and you know, I was being told stories of how it wasn't necessarily this nice. Let's start off right off the bat here. As you've kind of flowed upward in the charts of the standings, so have the facilities here and the support from the school, it seems like. Kind of walk us through what the idea here is behind UMass Dartmouth Athletics.
Well, that's exactly true. This is my 16th season, and you know, Cressy Field didn't always look like this. And we have right now some tremendous administrative support, both from the Chancellor's office on down, you know, through the athletic department. And you know, it's a great little place to play. And we fill it every week. And you know, as you know, especially in the last several years, you know, they've allowed me to increase the roster a little bit, and that helps. And so the support here has been absolutely outstanding.
Anybody that has a chance that's in this region, come on and see this field, see some games played here. But last year, I think it was the best in 18 years win-loss record-wise, and it kind of, for some people over the last few years, kind of came out of nowhere. UMass Dartmouth was not necessarily the doormat of the MASCAC or anything like that, but it wasn't the team that people were going to just pick right away. And I think, you know, Stephen Gachuk maybe helped spur some of that over the last few years, but then it falls onto Dante's shoulders. How did you make the decision ultimately to give it to such a youthful, you know, he's a great player, no doubt, but it's such a youthful player at that, put it kind of on his shoulders to keep rising here at UMass Dartmouth?
Well, you know, Stephen Gachuk was a huge part of what we were doing, and Dante was here, and when we recruited him, you know, he was both a quarterback and a wide receiver, and we had Stephen, and Stephen's younger brother was going to be our backup.
Yep.
And you know, throughout the course of the COVID year when Dante was first here, I kept saying, hey, Dante, man, you're too good of an athlete to be our third quarterback. Please go out and run some wide receiver reps. Well, he'd go out and run one, and then he'd come right back to the quarterbacks. And last year in game one, Stephen Gachuk went down, and Dante stepped in, and we were all scared to death. But that young man just has poise. He's an incredible leader, incredible ability, and has just taken this whole team over. And we all have his support, and good things are going to happen, I think.
There's two things that stand out when you look at the progression of last season, honestly. The resilience was awesome to see after, I think, Game 5, the second loss of the season, which was the last loss of the season. But also kind of that stark reality that an early loss could cost you pretty much the conference.
Sure.
The injuries and everything that you're talking about early in the season last year happened, but do you think your team learned you can't take anything for granted right off the bat here? And do they have the foundation to start hot and stay hot for the season?
We sure hope so. You know, and a big part of that is my staff. I've got an outstanding staff. My defensive coordinator's been here all 16 years with me, and offensive coordinator 14, special to 15 years. Great staff, great support, and the kids believe in what we're doing. And so, you know, we had 2 conference losses last year, and though we have to, that's the goal, is to make amends for those losses. And so, you know, great support from the staff. The kids have bought in 100%, and we're excited.
A lot of people had mixed emotions about postseason games that weren't playoff games, the bowl games, and we've seen some additions throughout the country now, not just in New England or in the Northeast. What was your team's experience, aside from some ESPN stuff afterward, that one, and that was incredible to see, but I mean, what did that give you in terms of maybe some foothold to say to your team, if this feels good, you know, imagine what the next level would feel? I mean, give us kind of that playback of what you said to them after that game especially.
You know, leading up to that game, again, it's been so long since we've had any postseason experience that the entire campus reached out. The things that the people over in food service did for us that morning and leading up to that event was they went way above what they needed to do and support administratively. Our chancellor's been out here for every coin toss, and he's won every coin toss, so he's mandated. Yeah, he's mandated to come out. But you know, that's just a great experience. You know, that whole bowl game experience, and you know, Alfred State came down and did a great job. And we're hoping the goal is not to have a bowl game this year, but to be in the tournament. So,
well, if you keep going in the trajectory you're going, it's probably going to happen. Last question for you. You talked about the COVID year, and a lot of teams learned a lot about themselves. You know, take us through the last couple of years from the COVID year and what you've learned to appreciate about football that maybe you didn't appreciate before that.
Well, so much. You know, we were talking earlier. You know, for about the last 8 or 9 years, we've been 4-6, 5-5. We've been right in the middle of what's going on, and you know, the COVID, we were 7-3 before COVID, and then you know, our kids were still, they bought in the entire time that we were off during that, and you know, that whole year and a half is almost like a fog. We try to just almost forget that, but the kids were working in the weight room. They were doing everything they needed to do. They were, you know, able to concentrate a little more in the classroom. You know, but in terms of, you know, what did I learn to appreciate? It's just being around these young men. You know, they keep you young. They're outstanding young men, and it's fun to be around them. And so,
the fact they kept the momentum they had and keep trying to go up in that, you know, stratosphere of playoffs with that momentum is very impressive, to say the least. Your leadership has obviously made that happen. Congratulations to you on what you've seen so far, but as we said, unfinished business. We'll see what 2022 leads to.
All right, thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
All right.
That's UMD. Okay, so we both picked Framingham State. I picked UMD as a team to watch. Any second thoughts on that? What do you think?
Well, I think we already know that we're going to be watching UMD. I mean, they were, I think, second in the conference last year, and like you said, they've been on an upward trajectory. What I'm curious to see is whether Bridgewater State, which is Framingham's big rival, can make a run and have a better time. Uh-oh, we have a guest appearance.
Keep going.
Yeah. So, geez, you know, can the Eagles get things going, or wait, are they the Eagles? They're the Eagles there's the Bridgewater in Virginia.
Yes.
There's too many Bridgewaters. I think, you know. But in this case, I think, you know, Bridgewater State could be, you know, ready to make a little comeback here. We'll have to see. What do you think, Kelley? What do you think about Bridgewater State? You like that pick?
Hold on. She's scrolling through.
Yeah. Okay.
You take over there.
All right.
I will take over and tell folks that our next conference we'll talk about, because I think we're going to have a lot of weeks before we're for sure going to be able to tell what's going on in that MASCAC. I think it's going to be an interesting conference, like I said, but the new MAC will be as well.
Yeah.
And storyline number 1, Coach Toop leaves. He's done. Yep.
I'm out of here, man.
And Coach Kroll takes over, as we predicted during the end of last season. The federal government did something right. Who knew?
Yeah, hey, first time for everything.
But it does make things a little bit interesting. Obviously, you have a new quarterback at the helm.
Yep.
You end up with a new coach at the helm. And so it may open things up in the rest of the new MAC as well. Not to say they won last year, the conference title, but at the same time, they won games that they wouldn't have won in prior years and created a little chaos throughout the new MAC. So are we back into a situation where it's basically Springfield, WPI, MIT, Catholic?
Catholic is on their way out the door. This is their last season. They're going to be jumping over to the Landmark. And so, yeah, why not take the title on your way out? You know, you never know.
They're my pick. Catholic is my pick to win the new MAC this year.
How about that?
With my team to watch being Springfield, which probably doesn't seem like a big stretch there to say that. But
yeah, I kind of went more the sort of the dark horse approach. And so what I'm really curious to see is Coach Bubna and the MIT Engineers, who aren't too far removed from a conference championship and a playoff spot. But, you know, these like super duper academic schools, I mean, the COVID thing, I mean, you're not going to come back and play another year of football if you're an MIT guy, probably. So how have they been able to keep their roster going and all that? They seem like the biggest question mark to me. They could be 10-0 or 0-10 or somewhere in between. We'll see.
Well, I think there will be.
Probably somewhere.
Yeah, one of those three things, definitely. If they're not, it's a real problem, I think. But anyway, MIT, interesting pick. I just don't have the level of confidence currently on them, and so that's why I stick with Catholic and Springfield. We'll see where that one goes. A lot of storylines to play out there. The CCC. Well, now, we talk about the new MAC, which is going to have an entrant named Salve Regina coming in.
Oh, yeah.
But the team will be exiting the CCC. Well, now, doesn't that provide some storylines after last year's hellacious back forth all around between essentially Western New England, Endicott, and Salve Regina, and other teams did play a role in that whole discussion as well.
They did a good Liberty League impression last year.
True. And with Husson and company in there too.
Yeah.
Curry with Coach Parsons from Endicott.
Yep.
I mean,
they've been blowing up social media. The Purple Rain is back.
Interesting to see Coach Parsons, and I look at him and I'm like, God, I'm old. All these head coaches that are now younger than you and me. How does that happen?
15 seasons, man.
Right you are. But with respect to Salve Regina, and we talk about basically the graduate seniors back for their last year.
They're bringing back some strong players.
Joey Mauriello, did he ring a bell for you?
I think we've had him on the show before.
Once or twice at least by name. Zack, Catarius, also their linebacker. Got to talk to both of those guys. Notice in the background how beautiful it is there.
Newport is amazing.
It's right on the water is Salve Regina. I don't know how I would have been a college student attending a school like that. University of Miami, I mean, I did 1 year of graduate school there, and I looked around and I was like, how can you do this all the time and still be a student? But hey, they find a way, and they play football too. Here's our interviews. Joey, fifth-year senior, last year had kind of an up-and-down season, battling some injuries in your career overall. But, I mean, a lot of people are going to be upset to see you back. You've got a COVID year that you got back, as did Zack. Tell me about how it feels to come back, and why did you come back ultimately? Because you really didn't have to necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, it feels amazing to have the opportunity to come back, especially with the guys around me. The program itself has convinced me enough that this is where I want to be for as long as I can. The culture here is unbelievable. We have a bunch of kids coming back for that reason, is we want to win, we want to get a championship. So it's kind of a no-brainer for me. I knew that I had to use this eligibility to come back.
Same basic question, Zack. Why did you choose to come back? And ultimately, I mean, was it an unfinished business type of situation or what for you?
I mean, yeah, you could say it's unfinished business. I mean, it's the brotherhood that really keeps us coming back, and there's so many alumni who come back as well. And it kind of hurt some of the seniors who didn't get to come back for their fifth year, and our grades saw that and wanted to come back to get the ring that we haven't got yet.
Last year, take me through what you guys learned on defense first, because you start out hot in the non-conference games, and the Western New England juggernaut kind of hits you guys. It didn't end your conference chances, obviously, and then the end of the season situation happens. So you had a kind of a bookend scenario there. What did you learn through all of that ultimately?
We just got to play as a group. It's 11 man to the football every single time. Our coach always says, "Do your 1/11th," because no one can be an individual, and that's how defenses should be played as a group.
Joey, same question on offense. What do you think this team learned during those, let's say, bookend weeks, the losses essentially?
I would say just never get too comfortable. We know that we have to always keep working every single week. It's a long season, and that's why after that did happen, we did not fold at all. We came back and we continued to work as a team and figured out what we had to do to keep winning.
Realistically, your class, your graduating class or graduate class, whatever you want to call it now, is kind of responsible for what I would call the emergence or reemergence or whatever you want to look at it as of Salve Regina football. Do you feel like you guys have put a certain signature on this program even before this year? And I mean, how do you finish out? How do you get this thing to a point where you walk away comfortably after this year?
Yeah, coming into this program, it's always had the winning culture. It's always been a thing here. It's one of the main reasons why I did come to Salve. So that was really cool. After my freshman year, I realized that this program's no joke. They mean business, and I wanted to be a part of it. So going through those 4 years, it's just been successful seasons every single year, but this year we want to have it to be the best it could possibly be. We want to win a championship, and we know that we've put on the younger kids that we're here to play, we're here to win, and we're not taking it any other way.
Zach, same idea?
Yeah, kind of like Joey said, the younger kids are seeing how much we flow together. I mean, like, our grade has come together so much, and we're just out there having fun. Like, and obviously football is the best part about it, but we've clicked together as a group and just having fun doing it.
Last question. Coach Gilmartin, who walked away, so we've got our ability to say whatever we want about him right now. How much did he contribute to the idea that you guys wanted to come back to this thing?
I mean, he's awesome. He really puts the fire under you. Like, really makes you love football as much as we do, and I'm sure everyone can attest, especially the people who did come back and wanted to play an extra season.
Joey, I heard during the walkthrough, I got the tail end of. He was a little bit energized there, a little bit upset about some things. So he's not always happy-go-lucky, is he?
He isn't always happy-go-lucky, but man, does he bring out the love of football at you. Even if you think about not playing the sport, he will find a way to make you love it again. So we do appreciate that, and that's one of the main reasons why, also as a grad senior, I did want to come back and play for him.
JB and I always say that we'll run through a wall thanks to speeches like his all the time. So I can only imagine how you guys accept it and kind of flow from that. That said, you know the rest of this. It's time for shout-outs for any family, friends, etc. that might be watching. Joey, go first. Come on over. It's all yours.
Yes, sir. I just got to give a major shout-out to the man, my dad, Matt Mauriello, the biggest D3 football fan you will ever meet, and my mom. Thank you guys for always supporting me. I appreciate you guys, and I love you guys.
I want to give a shout-out to my mom and dad, my two brothers, Luke and Jake, all my friends back home, and every single person I played with here at Salve Regina.
And the O-line. Shout out our O-line because they're the best in New England.
Hi, Matt.
He's going to love that.
I know he is. Then the aforementioned Kevin Gilmartin. You heard the reactions from the players about him.
Here come the jokes.
Always, always. Here is Coach. Coach, second chances, unfinished business. I said that to you as the theme of our shows in the preseason. Mm-hmm. You're like, yep, that's us. Mm-hmm. What is it right now? Take me through kind of what you feel the unfinished business, the second chances might be for Salve Regina right now.
Well, first off, we're on a losing streak right now. We lost the last game of the season, so we got to change that. That's the first thing we got to do, and that starts off with the first week. And so that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that one. Big picture. We're moving on from the CCC at the end of this year. This is our last chance at it, and we want to do as well as possible. It would be great if we can take that belt home on the way out, but we'll wait and see to find out. I mean, that's why every other team, they want to do the same thing this year. But great teams always try to push for it, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to push for every win, so we'll find out if we can do one of them.
There was already a bullseye on you in the CCC, though, and that's pretty evident from how Western New England came at you. I attended the Endicott game and the energy on each side of that game. Do you feel the bullseye got bigger when the announcement got made?
I would think so. Because we're leaving them, and so anytime somebody leaves you, they're the they're the jilted lover or whatever you want to call it. But at the same time, I think that Salve football, we're pretty good, and teams want to beat us anyway. And so I think every team's going to be pretty hyped up to play us. And so hopefully they will, and hopefully we'll be pretty hyped up as well. And we're going to have some pretty fun games this year. I'm pretty sure of that.
I've talked a lot to a lot of coaches about the COVID year in 2020. But when you look at your COVID year, compounded by your 2021 personally and your family and everything else that happened last year and some of the ups and downs with the football team, do you feel like you're happy to be in 2022 right now? I mean, how have things been for you? And kind of take me back from 2020 forward and kind of the mentality you've had from that point forward.
2020, I mean, that was the COVID year. That was amazing because, you want to play a game, you're practicing so hard for one game and that gets taken away at the end. But at the same time, in the beginning, you couldn't bond together as a team because we were apart from one another a lot. Then finally we got to practice, but there was spacing within it. So everybody had so much, anxiety during that year. Then we get into 2021 and we can finally start playing again, and we're having a good year, and then there's like you said, some family situations. My father passed away, and the team rallies around me, which is huge, and that's the blessing of a family, it was my father, my family, but then my Salve family steps up and helps us. And our year that year, we lost a game, but then we rallied back, and then we continue on, and then we have a great run of games, and then we end with the loss. And so it's 100%, it's unfinished business, and the fact that we have so many people that are excited for each other. That's why we have a lot of graduates coming back and everything, and it's huge because we're looking forward to this year. I mean, we got a lot of good players, and a lot of guys decided to come back for an opportunity to play together.
We'll run these out of order, but I saw Blaise Fagiano yesterday in terms of real time of recording these, and we talked about the advantage teams have to have a lot of graduate leadership on the field back because of the COVID years. You pretty much have some big players coming back, opting into this whole thing. But then you look at last year, like you said, you started with a loss, you ended with a loss in the conference, basically, more or less. I think, actually, second game, I think it was, whatever it was last year. But actually, maybe the first. Yeah, it was first. Western New England was
you were
right
right,
off the bat.
Man. Don't touch yourself.
I know it. No
You're the mayor for a reason.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't know about all that. But nonetheless, do you think the leadership has this funny taste in their mouth because of that kind of inverted feel of that season where, a lot of teams are like, we got to start hot, we got to finish hot. On the win-loss record, your team didn't.
Right, and I think the best part about the leadership is that they are all a little bit older. They get to stay for that extra year, and then we got that senior class. But I think great ththings about the leadership is they understand not to look so far down the road, just to look for what's exactly in front of them. I think Joey said at one point in time, it's like, you can't get too full of yourself, can't look too far forward because you got to take care of what's in front of you at the time. I think having leaders, that helps you focus on that moment, be within your moment right there. And I think that's going to make us a better team.
We'll see where this season goes. I got one favor to ask of you, though. Okay?
Absolutely.
You brought it up. I'm mayor now of a village, the village of Ballston Spa. That's going to probably be my nickname, whether I like it or not, coming up. JB, we need a good nickname for JB, though. I'm trying to think of one for the season. That's why I go to you for this.
Right. I go to the guitar first. That's the first thing that hit me.
Okay.
I mean, I'd love to see him singing JB.
Singing JB, not bad.
Okay. He's not John Bon Jovi, so we don't have JBJ.
Ooh, that's not
bad. So maybe JB Joe. No, singing JB. Maybe singing JB. I don't know. You put me on the spot. Little curveball. I might have to shoot you a text or an email about that one.
I'm going to call him the governor of D3. How's that? We got the mayor and the governor of D3.
You know what you were going to say.
I did. Well, come on. I was thinking as I was watching this beautiful waterway behind us here. You got as scenic a vista here as any school I've seen. So I see why your players love going to Salve Regina. As we see a lot of great private schools and beautiful ones at that. But this is very, very at the top of that list.
The beauty of the scenery is what got me here. The people is what's keeping me here.
Amen to that. Good luck in this 2022 season, sir.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
The governor.
The governor, James Baker.
That's right.
So, CCC. I picked Salve Regina as the winner. Endicott is the team to watch, though, that could probably do it just as well. You picked Salve Regina and UNE.
Yeah.
Okay, so we haven't mentioned them at all in this whole package. Go ahead. Why UNE?
Well, I think there's some young coaches out there like Bobby Johnson who's really done a nice job developing that offensive line. The school has put in, the resources and the blue turf, and they've had some success on the recruiting trail. Well, I realized I probably should have also thrown, Curry into that bucket too, because I have a feeling we might see it in week 1 when they host. They're playing MIT on the Friday night of week 1, and it wouldn't surprise me if the Colonels won that game necessarily. So time will tell.
Throw in a little curry. I mean, you're turning this into a cooking show after all here in your kitchen.
Yes, indeed. Some
There you
spices
go.
over there and all sorts of stuff.
Bam. But the CCC, again, another, while we know the main players we feel, we just don't know really which one of those main players is going to step forward and take the cake on this.
Yeah, we fortunately, and mostly thanks to this guy, we did get a little bit of a sense on who's coming back from some of the larger, I guess you could say like top 30 or 40 national teams. But there's another 200 schools out there, and we don't necessarily know all of who's coming back. Obviously, Frank found out about Joey. I think also Jack McGuire from Salve is back. Yep. He's an excellent quarterback. So there's a lot more fifth-year senior presence, I think. I mean, even the D3 football preseason All-American team, I would say, was like 70% fifth-year senior guys. So
some of which probably they may not have known were coming back and could have added even more than that too in certain positions.
And not to be a spoiler, but we did find out about someone who's coming back in Region 3 that will really shake up the national conversation, so stay tuned for that.
We'll talk about that in a couple of shows.
Yep.
But on this show, the MAC, which, as we said, Region 1, kind of a misfit in the regional structure if you look at the map.
Yep.
But it is not a misfit in that it's got a lot of good teams in it. Look, I've tried to pick against Delaware Valley in the past. I've been made a fool of in the process. I don't know how you pick against them. You didn't either. So we both picked Delaware Valley to win. And then we have a split here. I said Stevenson is the team to watch. You said Wilkes. Stevenson, Coach Huddle is always ready, willing, and able to get that team going. They have the great facilities to lure players over there and everything else. So Stevenson has a great edge, I think, in the MAC. They just can't get over the hump because of this juggernaut called Delaware Valley. You, though, pick a different school, Wilkes, Coach Strock. Why?
Yeah, I just feel like, Coach Strock just has a track record of a combination of recruiting and, game planning, and just they've been on a steady rise up. They've had a couple of tough sort of postseason, MAC CC bowl games in the last couple of years. But I have confidence in Coach Strock and his staff to pull something together that will contend. I mean, we don't really know what's going on at Widener. They open up with Rowan in week 1. They could be a team that could fit in that category. Stevenson has always been sort of right there at the second or third place spot. So, Del Val is the standard, kind of the cream that rises to the top. But anything after that is a little bit up in the air.
Finally, in the NESCAC, we'll see in week 3 NESCAC, but just to be official here and complete the list, I picked Williams and Trinity as the team to watch. You picked Trinity to win and Middlebury to be the team to watch. My view is Williams is on a trajectory that their momentum will keep them up there, I feel, although, hey, it's been an inconsistent last few years. Middlebury before them, I believe, and then Trinity before that. So it's been inconsistent in the NESCAC, but I like what Coach Raymond has going on at Williams.
Yeah.
Trinity for you?
I mean, this is a little bit of a biased hometown pick. I mean, Spencer Federer from here in Orlando, Winter Park, Florida. He's returning after a great season last year. And I just feel like the Bantams have been down a little too long. They traditionally have won many of the NESCAC titles over the last decade plus. I feel like this might be the year the Bantams get back on top. And as far as Middlebury, this is Coach Ritter's last ride. We've seen it with like Coach Lackner at Carnegie Mellon and other places. That last year, when people know about it going into it, sometimes ratchets up the effort, and the teams really come through with big seasons for their coaches in the final year.
That's Region 1. We'll have our Region 2 show in a few days, Region 3 a few days after that, and our Region 4 through 6 show with Week 1 predictions and previews a few days after that, basically culminating on the Wednesday before the season begins, the day before our first games of the season, which I believe take place on September 1st officially.
Thursday night, yeah. There's about 7 or 8 games, mostly in the Midwest, but we have a lot of Friday night games in the East region, and then Saturday is
Open season, literally.
Yeah.
We'll see you in a few days, folks.